Today, we're sharing all the lessons we've learned about long-term travel.
We've been traveling full-time across Europe for the past 6 months, so we've learned a few things about what it means to be full-time nomads.
At the end of the video, we'll share with you the lesson we've learned that will make the biggest difference for our future planning.
To our subscribers, thank you so much for coming back for another episode. We are still here, safe and sound, in Lake Como, Italy, waiting out the quarantine.
With so much time on our hands, we've decided to sit down and reflect on the last 6 months of travel in a 3-part series. Last week, we shared with you our lessons from 6 months of early retirement, and we'll share the link in the description below. And today we're getting into our lessons from 6 months of slow travel. Stay tuned for next week, and we'll talk about life on the road with 2 dogs. If you're new to our channel, I'm Gillian.
And I'm Stephanie. We're a couple who sold off all of our possessions, packed up our lives and our 2 little dogs, and headed off on the road for a life of adventure. If you're interested in how-tos for slow travel, you have come to the right place. So do click on the subscribe and the notification button so you'll never miss an episode.
Today, we're digging into what we've learned about ourselves and our preferences when it comes to travel, and how that's influenced our future travel plans. If you're thinking of full-time travel, or maybe you're traveling already, we hope that you find some useful takeaways for your own travel planning.
6 months ago, we left our home where we had been living in Singapore for the past 6 years and headed off to Krakow, Poland. Now, the reason we chose Poland was not just because it's a beautiful country to visit, but also because that was the cheapest one-way fare that we could get from Singapore all the way over to Europe. We also wanted to start our slow travel adventure in Europe because we had already explored so much of Southeast Asia.
From there, we headed to the Ukraine. And then, for the winter months, we headed south to Turkey. Following this, we had planned to spend a couple months in Italy, which has been extended due to the coronavirus lockdown. When things get back to normal, we plan to hit the road again in the Balkans.
Our goal with all of this travel is to try to experience new countries and new cultures slowly, really get to know them. So for that reason, we try to spend at least 1 or 2 months in each country. Which brings us to our first lesson that we have learned, which is the pace of travel. In our former lives, when we were working full-time, we would just try to cram in as many experiences as we possibly could within a 2-week vacation.
Now that we're traveling full-time, we find that just a few days in a place is just too fast for us. The few times when we had shorter stays were enough to reinforce that we really prefer to have time to settle in and get to know a place. For us, the ideal timing seems to be about 1 month. Any shorter and we don't really feel settled in, and any longer we do start to get itchy feet.
Our next area of learning was shoulder season travel. So this is something we've had a lot of experience with over the course of our slow travel adventures. So we left Singapore in October, and that meant that we were hitting Europe in fall and winter. So we've seen quite a bit of the shoulder season here already, and we've had a lot of positive experiences as a result. So the first thing is, of course, accommodations. These are available at a fraction of the cost of what you would normally be paying during peak season. The other positive of traveling in shoulder season are the lack of crowds. So usually you can get the museums and the sites, really small percentage of the people that would normally be there during the peak time.
That said, there can also be some downsides. For example, when we were traveling on the Turquoise Coast, which is a sunshine destination, the range of activities were a little bit more limited and some of the restaurants were also closed. In terms of the weather, you may need to plan around cold or rainy days. It's important to be honest with yourself about your appetite for inclement weather. I remember when we were in Lviv and we encountered a cold snap, we were pretty sure after that we wanted to avoid as much cool weather as possible.
Despite any of the downsides, we do find that travel in the shoulder season offers a lot of benefits if you're a value seeker. So our travel in Florence is a great example of that. We got to visit this beautiful city without any of the crowds. The weather was decent in February. There were a few chilly days, a few cloudy days, but other than that, it was actually quite lovely. And we got to stay in a beautiful apartment that was centrally located at a fraction of the usual price that you would have to pay when it's peak season. We actually have a whole video about how to slow travel Florence in the video, which we'll link up in the description below.
We've talked about the value you can get by traveling in the shoulder season. Now, the other thing that makes a big difference in your travel budget is choice of country. Now there's a perception that Southeast Asia is cheap, whereas Europe is expensive. But from personal experience, we can tell you that there are actually many places you can travel in Europe, especially Eastern Europe, that are just as affordable as Southeast Asia.
In our 6-month journey so far, we have spent time in both low-cost and high-cost countries. And even though we've enjoyed all the countries that we visited today, we definitely have discovered a preference for the low-cost countries because they offer so much value.
As a quick example, we spent a month each in Istanbul, Turkey, and in Florence, Italy. Now we spent $2,500 US in each place, but what we got for our money in Istanbul was way more. In Florence, we dined out just once a week, so we were cooking at home the rest of the time, and we did a couple of self-guided museum tours. In Istanbul, we were eating out every single day, sometimes twice a day, and we did a number of excursions and even some private tours.
In fact, we did a whole video about how much we spent for our month in Istanbul, which we'll link up in the description below. So in the end, what we would say is definitely consider including lower cost countries within a travel itinerary. We're not saying only go to those places, but we do recommend going to them if you want to make your travel dollars stretch.
Now let's talk about packing. We used to be the kind of people who would throw a few items of clothing in a backpack and be good to go for a weekend trip. This is totally different now that we're long-term traveling and we don't have any other home. We're packing for 3 seasons, and we also need all the things to care for our dogs on the road.
What this means is that we are not packing light. So we each have a 20 kg suitcase, plus a backpack, plus a dog. So this is quite a lot of stuff to cart around with us everywhere we go. The reality is, though, that even though we have tried to reduce the weight as we have moved along over the course of 6 months, everything we have now is what we consider to be essential for our life on the road.
Since cooking is really important to us, we've made space in our luggage for a little portable kitchen, which includes things like a chef knife, a vegetable peeler, and even a coffee filter, because apparently not every place has a coffee maker.
So these kitchen items are really what we consider our essentials. They're the things we need to have with us because we're living on the road full time. When you're planning your travels and planning how much luggage you want to carry around, you should also consider what are your essentials.
Let's talk about accommodations. We've said many times that we're fans of staying in Airbnbs. There are, of course, occasions when it makes more sense to stay in a guest house or hotel, but for stays longer than a few nights, we generally find it is best to book an Airbnb. And in fact, we have a whole video about how to pick the perfect Airbnb, which we'll link up in the description.
Our top tip for finding an Airbnb that you're going to be happy with is to definitely read through all of the comments that other people have left. Additionally, you should also ask questions of the host if there's anything that you want more information about, like whether there's a fully stocked kitchen or if there's high-speed internet. All of these questions will help you understand aspects of the experience that don't necessarily come through in a photo.
We also recommend to always use the Airbnb platform to make your bookings and avoid making cash deals directly with the host. Now, the booking fees might seem steep, but Airbnb will be there to help you out if something goes wrong. And we had this happen on one occasion when we needed to switch up a booking, and they actually let us cancel and book something new without any trouble.
Finally, we've come to the one lesson that we have learned that's going to have the biggest impact on our future planning, and that is flexibility. So we used to be the sort of people who would plan our trips 6 months to a year in advance, and we would know every detail of those trips. We would know which buses we were gonna take, which restaurants we were gonna eat at. We had every detail locked down well in advance.
For our 6-month journey to date, we booked a lot in advance, and then we felt stuck when we needed to make last-minute changes.
As full-time travelers, we've learned that we just need to be a lot more flexible so that our plans can change as circumstances change. For example, if our family needs support back home or if there's a global crisis like there is right now.
We've learned that we need to stop over-planning and get more comfortable with letting our journey evolve naturally. So those are all the lessons we've learned from the last 6 months of travel, and now it's over to you. What is your top travel tip? Is it what to pack, where to go, when to go? Let us know in the comments because we'd love to hear from you.
So if you liked this video and found it helpful, please do give it a thumbs up to let us know. Next week, we're going to be sharing all about what it's like to travel with 2 little dogs. So definitely click on that subscribe and notification button so you don't miss it.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.